Right, partners, today it's all about you and your role in supporting your partner to have the best birth that is possible. So your partner has been busy for the last 7 days, taking into account all the different aspects of a good birth preparation plan. And today you're going to be getting involved if you haven't already, because your role is more valuable than you would ever imagine. And I want to stress up front that there's no particular skills that you need to learn. All of those skills, any skills that you do learn will certainly help you, and I will guide you with those. But the most important aspect of being a really good support partner is about being mindful and present in the moment. So being completely focused on what's happening to your partner. And I'm going to go through everything according to the stages of labor and how you can be there and really support in every stage of labor, whether you're at home, whether you're in the hospital, whether you're in the birthing room, and then afterwards. So there's actually 4 different places that you need to consider your support role and how they're going to change depending on where you are. Bear in mind that if you're at home, it means that you're in early labor. So everything is just going on as normal. And your main role in early labor is to keep your partner either distracted or focused, depending on what she needs in that moment and what time of day it is. So if it is nighttime, then trying to help her to get some rest. And if it's daytime, finding ways of distracting her without taking her out of getting into the zone. Okay. Once you're in hospital, your role changes significantly because now you really are focusing all your attention on your partner and what it is that she needs in the moment, and being mindful of signs of external tension, and then guiding her to use all the tools and techniques that she's learned in this process to stay focused and to go more and more internally, because that's exactly where she needs to be. So we talk about the zone of labor, and she's going to become more internally focused as labor progresses. So as she goes more and more into active labor, as her contractions become stronger, more intense, and more regular, she's going to need more and more support. By the time she gets into transition, which is just before the baby gives birth, once again, it's a very intense time for her. Her demeanor may change considerably, and it may make you a little bit frightened and think, what's happening? But remember, that's when you really need to step up and stay calm, stay with her, and allow her to rely on you, which is exactly what she's doing. So be that calm, strong force and anchor her with touch and eye contact, and remind her of how far she's come and that she can do this. Okay, even if you're not sure yourself, just keep her focused, calm, and centered. And in the moments after the birth, it's about enjoyment. It's about keeping interventions and too many people at bay so that you can really protect that space, you, your partner, and your baby, the 3 of you, a new family, and really being able to enjoy those first few precious moments, not allowing anything to get in the way of that. So we're going to go through that step by step and just be mindful of how things happen. Okay. So starting off with early labor, as I said, it's very dependent on what time of day it is. And what you want ideally is to stay at home as long as possible to allow the labor to establish a rhythm. We've talked about how important rhythm is. And by rhythm, I mean that we want the contractions, those muscular contractions that open the cervix, to establish themselves into a pattern that comes at regular intervals. Now, by the time it gets to every 5 minutes, and that's been happening for in excess of an hour, you know that a rhythm has established. If it's happening, if she's having contractions and then 30 minutes later, there's still nothing happening, well, we know that there's no rhythm. So that's what we're looking for. So while there's no rhythm, the best thing to do is to distract yourself and find ways of keeping busy or getting rest if you can. I mean, if they're happening every 30 minutes or more, there's definitely a chance that you can have cat naps. Even if it means that you have 5 or 6 cat naps, that means that she's had 5 or 6 periods of 20 minutes of rest, which add up to over an hour. And it's all about conserving the energy for later when she's going to need it in the hospital. So if it's daytime, go for a walk, do something around the house, watch some series, and just keep an eye on her without actually watching her or with your focused attention. And don't spend too much time and energy on timing the contractions while they're still irregular. Okay, it'll tire you, it'll tire her and make her feel under some kind of time pressure. So your role in early labor is to support her to stay at home as long as possible and not keep saying, let's go to the hospital, let's go to the hospital, it's time, it's time, it's time. Allow your partner and trust her enough for her to let you know that it's time to go. While you're waiting for that to happen, of course, it's important that you need to make sure that everything is ready so that when she does say it's time to go, the car's packed. Some people go as far as kind of like having it backed out and ready in the road so that you just get in and go. Make sure that everything that you need is in the bag, either by the door or already in the car. Ideally, you would have packed a small cooler bag that has got some nourishing drinks and some nourishing snacks in it, and some towels that you're going to take out of the fridge or the freezer, so some cooling towels to use on her forehead. All the comfort measures that you are going to use, the birthing ball, a tennis ball to do some nice deep massage in her back, cool packs or hot packs, a hot water bottle, maybe a flask of hot water, music, your chargers. So all of those things must be packed and ready so that the only thing your partner has to focus on is staying in the zone and getting into the zone. When she lets you know that it's time to go to the hospital, you want to get in the car, and at that stage, you need to have sussed out whether she's enjoying and needing silence or whether she's enjoying and needing constant reassurance or chatting and guidance, okay? I have done work with your partner to make sure that when the time she goes, you make the decision to go to the hospital, she has to give herself a little pep talk in her head that she needs to keep doing what she's been doing at home in the hospital and allow you to take over and take control, okay? So that is your role. You are going to the hospital. You don't ask her which route you should take. You don't, if there's traffic, you don't mention it. You assume that confident role of protector and guide and reassure her that everything is just perfect, that you're on the way to the hospital. Everything she's been doing up until now is perfect. She just keeps doing it. You've got this. You know which entrance to go to. You don't worry about parking. When you get there, you don't worry about taking all the bags out. You take that small packed bag that you've packed for the labor room. That's the only one you need right now. The rest you can fetch later. And you take charge and you lead her to where you need to go, which is usually straight up to the labor room. You may or may not have called the labor room in advance to let them know that you're on your way. If you haven't, it doesn't matter. Labor rooms are expecting you to come in as long as you have your card or whatever record that you've been using up until now with you. Then it's just a matter of handing that over. They will find what they need and get you set up, okay? If she's already in a good established labor pattern, and there are regular rhythmic contractions that are coming at least every 5 minutes, then the chances are that from the car to the labor room, you may have to stop several times because you know that when she's reached the stage of her labor where the contractions are so intense that she doesn't want to talk through them, she's at the talk to the hand stage, and she probably needs to really breathe deeply through them, okay? So rather than trying to rush her along and get her into the room, just stop, breathe with her through that contraction, knowing that it's only going to last a minute or possibly a minute and a half, okay? Stay calm, stay focused, and just gradually get there. When you get up to the nursing station, hand over your hospital records. They will guide you to the room. And once you're in the room, there's several procedures and processes that have to take place in a hospital. They're going to check her blood pressure. They're probably going to do a CCG, so to check the baby's heart rate and the nature and duration of her contractions. And they're going to do an internal examination, which is quite an invasive procedure. So be there and supportive and allow those things to happen, and just keep reassuring your partner that all is good. And it's just your calm presence that will keep her focused and keep her in the zone, okay? Once all those procedures have been done, you will have a better idea of what stage of labor you're at and more or less how many hours you still have. If you are admitted into the room that you're going to be in for the rest of your stay, not actually the labor room, you know that you're either in the beginning or halfway through, because you will only be transferred to the labor room when you are nearing giving birth, which is usually around 7, 8, 9 centimeters, depending how things go. Okay, so if you're still in the room, or what we call first stage room, then you'll more or less be left alone to your own devices most of the time. And the midwife will check in every 30 minutes to an hour, possibly more, depending on what's happening. And it's up to you then to continue doing what you're at home. So supporting her with position, with comfort measures. If she wants to be massaged, allowing her to show you what feels good, harder, softer, higher, lower. Assisting her with breathing, and using synchronized breathing. So synchronized breathing is essentially when you notice that a contraction is beginning, either because she says, talk to the hand, or because she closes her eyes, or she changes position somehow. Okay, and as soon as she does that, you know that the contraction, that wave of sensation is beginning, and there's an acceleration, and she needs to breathe to get through that. And you will start breathing with her, because if you breathe, she will immediately synchronize her breath with you, even if her eyes are closed. But make sure that you're breathing loud enough, okay? Because what you want to do is breathe in through your nose so that it's really loud, to the count of 2 or 3, and then breathe out through your mouth to the count of at least 3 or 4. So when you're breathing out through the mouth, once again, make a soft sighing sound, okay? So if you do that, breathe in for 2, out for 4. Every breath is going to be at least 6 seconds, which is a lot longer than our natural breathing pattern, but it's going to keep her focused. And when she's breathing out, she's releasing. She's done the mental work that when she breathes out, she knows she's visualizing, letting go, releasing, and staying calm and centered. You are guiding with her, so she doesn't have to think about it. So synchronized breathing is probably one of the most valuable ways that you can support her without actually saying anything. And you want to do that through absolutely every contraction. And at the same time as you're doing that, if she needs to have a little bit of a massage or some light touch, do that at the same time, or guide her into a position that feels comfortable, or encourage her to get around and do some walking, bearing in mind that when she's walking, when she gets to talk to the hand with an acceleration contraction beginning, she'll want to stop. It's difficult to focus and breathe through a contraction while she's still walking. And if she is still walking, then you know that things are still fairly early. Continue to do that for the duration of the next couple of hours until things either change, where you will notice that the gaps are getting smaller. So rather than being every 5 minutes, they're now every 4, 3, or even 2. And the intensity is increasing, okay? She's needing more and more support to stay in the zone. You need to breathe a little bit louder. You sometimes need to get her to look at you and maintain eye contact, ground her with touch, and you will notice that things are becoming intense, and it usually is exponential. So once she's in that rhythm, things really go fast, and they become more intense for her. So really keep, as they become more intense, deepen your level of focused attention and support. And if the midwife hasn't come in and visited you to assess the progress and you think things are changing, then call her in and say, I think things are progressing. Or if you notice something's changed considerably, then call the midwife in if she hasn't already been in, at which stage she will probably be transferred to the delivery room. So we are now getting to the next stage where we're getting ready to give birth. Once again, a bit like leaving home, this is a big psychological thing for your partner, so she can either slow down or stop, allowing a little bit of fear to get in the way, so don't allow that to happen. Guide her into getting comfortable in her new environment, which is important, okay? She needs to look around, see where she is, establish whether it's safe or not. And once she feels comfortable and safe, and the quicker you can help her to do that, the quicker that labor is going to continue and once again go exponentially, getting more and more intense to the point that she starts feeling the urge to push. And at that stage, the midwife will be present. She may or may not have called the doctor in already. And she's going to really need a lot of either hands-on, eye contact, or just mindful, close presence support, reminding her that she can do this. It's quite an intense part of her labor, okay? And she will guide you either with words or with touch as to what's working for her. And if her, as I said earlier, her demeanor changes considerably and she becomes agitated or despondent, or thinking that she cannot do it, it's what we call transition where sometimes she feels as if she's hit a wall, she can't go any further, okay? And she may even become extremely afraid, or she may get to the point where she says, just give me a C-section, please, just do anything to get this baby out. And she wants to speed things up, or she may even go into denial. All of those things would be completely natural, normal, and expected. Okay, your job is to support her through that and take your cues from the midwife. If the midwife is just carrying on with things and guiding and whatever, then you know that's okay. Then put all your focus back on to your partner to help her through that and get her past that wall or that hump that she's created, that barrier or that resistance that is happening in her mind. And if you notice that she's using words like I can't or I cannot or help me, then try and help her to change those, reminding her that she can, that she is, and she will, and you're right there supporting her every step of the way. It's also the time where you are going to have one eye on her and one eye on the staff and what is happening, and making sure that all the things, all the preferences that you want, all the things that you would prefer to avoid, those interventions, specifically an episiotomy and delayed cord clamping, and not being told, or no directed pushing or even purple pushing. Those are the things that you're going to be mindful of, and that you want to have the right language to discuss with the medical staff, so that you can minimize those and not get your wife involved in any way if at all possible, because she's deep in the zone now, and her only role is to stay connected to the baby and to work with her body to give birth to her baby. So if she can hear that you are taking charge and controlling those things, she's going to get on with doing what she needs to do. So don't be afraid at that stage to negotiate or speak to the medical staff. And ideally, by then you've already established a good relationship with both the midwife and the doctor, and they are fully aware of all your birth preferences, so that it's not a surprise. They're not finding out at the last minute that this is what you want, that these are your preferences. And it's just a reminder for them to please honor those preferences. Okay. And then, as I mentioned earlier, after the birth of the baby, to once again assume that protective role, which you will naturally do anyway, and to just enjoy those precious moments with your newborn baby, and taking in every single moment, the sights, the sounds, the smell, and allowing the baby to nestle comfortably on your partner's chest, enjoying the feeling of skin to skin, and allowing the baby to nuzzle down and do what we call a breast crawl, to find the breast in their own time. And there's absolutely no rush for this. Okay. So your role is valuable. It's important. It's not complicated, and it's easy because you already know and love your partner, and you know what works for her, and you're very good at reading her verbal and nonverbal clues. And that's exactly what you're going to be doing in labor. So stay on the ball, keep your phone away, stay calm, stay focused, and just love her through this. Remember, both of you are doing it for the first time, so you're learning along the way. And as you go, you'll get more and more comfortable in that role. And feel free to join in on the next live, or to ask any questions on the Facebook page. I've also put together a manual for you which just outlines this all, and I know you can do it.